In this chapter, we're going to discuss the prevailing theory of genetics and its impact on obesity. You would have heard it in the media, pushed forward by doctors, and in various magazines, etc., relating to health, that the primary cause of obesity and excess weight is genetics. There's a lot of evidence to support this theory as well. We shouldn't discount it out of hand. In fact, when the Americans first liberated Auschwitz, what they discovered was not only the very publicised large number of starving inmates in the concentration camps, but quite a few people that were also very obese in spite of the incredible deprivation in food. Here you see a group of Auschwitz inmates celebrating the liberation. You'll notice that these women, in spite of the incredible starvation and harsh conditions of the concentration camp, were still obese. This has led to the theory, as it's described in the research, as the Auschwitz paradox. Why, in spite of the extreme starvation, were these people still obese? Well, the number one theory, of course, is that it was genetic. The genetic theory has received even greater support with a concept that's been identified as the Ethiopian paradox. That is, when camera crews go to Ethiopia for one of the many famines, not only do they see large numbers of starving Africans like this poor man here, which you may have seen on the various charity ads, but also they find several obese people. And here you see one of these Africans who actually suffers the obese gene, and he's actually volunteered and come along with the United Nations to do research to discover why he actually has this challenge. What they hope is they can identify the gene and implant it in other Ethiopians, so in future when they have famines, they don't starve, as this man obviously isn't. As in most areas of scientific research, there are people who argue that other theories are more relevant. In fact, a recent breakthrough in research technology has allowed for proponents of the fat theory been able to support their argument. It is argued by proponents of the fat fairy theory that the idea that the current obesity epidemic is caused by genetics is somewhat wishful thinking. They argue that why, if in 1983 was the average percent body fat of an Australian woman, for example, 22%, and then by 2003, 36%, and why today are 8 out of 10 men considered overweight or obese, and why has the male obesity rate in the Australian school system doubled in just 5 years? We couldn't have really had that kind of massive change in our genetic makeup. Originally, the fat fairy theorists were mocked by the mainstream researchers, but thanks to incredible new technology which was used to identify, first of all, the Michael Jackson's ghost at Dreamland, we actually have been able to capture fat fairies. And what we've been able to identify is these fat fairies actually fly around at night, sprinkling donuts into people's mouths. And here we see some poor woman who's the unfortunate victim of the fat fairies. Here she is, gone to sleep, and then in the morning woken up and lo and behold unable to fit into her pants because the fat fairies have attacked her and dropped donuts into her mouth. So how does the fat fairy theory tie into the rapid increase in obesity? Well, very simple. Because of global warming, it's thought that what's actually happened is that the stratosphere is heated up, and fairies of course breed up in the clouds, and because of the warmer temperatures up there, they're breeding a lot faster, and because they eat fairy dust, which grows in cloud mass, the fairies are breeding at a much faster rate, and to amuse themselves, spending a lot more time flying down to the earth, sprinkling donuts into people's mouths. What naughty fairies they are. Another factor is considered the fact that because of the world's growing population, now there's about 6 to 11 billion people, two fairies who used to focus on going around and collecting children's teeth and leaving, say, $1 or $2, are now, because of the high population, finding a glut in the tooth market. So where before they could get a decent profit from going around paying $1 or $2 per tooth and then reselling on the market, they now can't. And as a result, they're not getting a financial reward. Here you see two tooth fairies protesting about the plummeting price of teeth on the teeth market. We have to feel sorry for these poor fairies. For centuries, these fairies have gone around giving children money for the teeth so they didn't feel so bad about losing them. So what's the government doing about this? Well, they're going out and capturing fairies and operating on them for research to see what they can do about the problem. Here you see two terrified Easter bunnies looking on as their friend, one of the fat fairies, is captured and taken away in an ambulance for research purposes. Who better than a bunny would know what terror lies in research? Oh my god, they're thinking. Let's hope he doesn't get taken to the cosmetics research labs. Of course, the fat fairy theory is as ludicrous as can be. No, I was just kidding, there aren't fat fairies. And no, the population isn't increasing because of global warming, or because tooth fairies are having a hard time on the tooth market. The whole concept is ludicrous, but then so is the concept of genetics being the cause of obesity, or diabetes, or blood pressure, or heart attacks. The cause is very simple: a change in our food supply, what we put in our mouth, what we put in our skin, what we breathe in the air, and the amount of time we spend spitting on our butt. It's that simple. So why do you hear the genetic theory pushed so much? Very simple. Food industry is a big industry. They provide advertising dollars to the media, and the media in return scratch their back. The food industry wants you fat. That fat on your butt, that fat on your stomach, the fat that's causing the health problems and the cancer, is actually their accumulated profit. And as a result, if you read a health magazine, more often than not you'll read lies, distortions of the truth, etc. That's designed to confuse you and encourage you to eat their products. The fact is, what makes you overweight is what you put in your mouth and the time spent on your butt. Simple formula, but you've been deceived, and I'll show you how in the next chapter. The food industry does lots of little tricks to make sure you overeat and become fat, because, like I said, extra fat on your butt is extra profit for them. And if you believe it's genetic, then you feel you don't have control, and then keep eating their product. Stay tuned, and I'll show you exactly some of the naughty tricks they do. Naughty, naughty food industry.